Hello ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Randoms Productions. My name is Nicholas Miller and we are back. It has been quite a long time since my last video, and as you can see, we're not in the set anymore. We are in the great city of New Orleans, the place I'm now proud to call home. I am going to be here for quite a while to further my education in college. Yeah, I'm a college student now. It's providing me with a lot of opportunities, which I'm really grateful for. But today, we're going to be taking advantage of one of those opportunities, and that is the city itself. I've always had a great passion for photography, which you can go see on my Instagram, where I post almost daily. But I've always wanted to tie that passion with YouTube, and I think I've finally found a way to do it. I'm going to get on my GoPro, go out into the city, and take photos and try and give you, hopefully, some tips that you might find helpful. Whether that be what to look for, recommended aperture or shutter speed for certain shots, or just tips and tricks that I find helpful whenever I take photos. Without further ado, let's go ahead. I want to show you what I'm going to be taking with me today. Okay, so real quickly, I'm going to go over what we have here, why we're taking it, and really what the goal is of today. I try not to go into my shoots with much of an idea in mind, but because this is a video, I tried to structure it like that. So I'm going to be taking my Sony a7 III with a 28-70 lens. It's really a jack of all trade lenses. You can do good shots of people, good shots of flowers, nature, and buildings in wider scenes. It's just good. It's general though. It's not specific. It's not what I would want to have if I were doing street photography, but like I said, we're not doing that today. I also have a lens shield. It's good for cutting out glare and protecting the lens. We also have lens caps, just an extra few in case something happens to the lens or camera. I'd also recommend one of these in case it rains. It goes over the camera, it's completely clear, you tie it around the end, and it protects it from rainwater. Other than that, I think we're gonna pack all this up and get ready to go. I'll see you there. So while I'm getting out of the car and getting to where I took the first shot, I just want to discuss a few things. I am personally not the best at ISO and figuring out how much I need in a shot, especially at nighttime. I feel like I got a pretty good handle on it when I'm doing portrait shots, which is what I'm more personally comfortable with, which is why recently I've been wanting to do more nighttime and dark shots to really practice, because that is the only way as a photographer you're going to grow, to put yourself in situations that you are not used to and really just throw yourself in the deep end, honestly. Now, also, I think even though that happened, I personally ended up coming out with some beautiful shots tonight. By the way, I know at the start I said I wasn't going to do any street photography, but of course, me being me and it being a beautiful night out on Bourbon and Jackson Square, I ended up doing exactly that. I think it goes to show that you don't have to have the exact perfect equipment. As I said earlier, my 25, I believe, to 70 isn't exactly perfect for street photography. I'd rather a longer zoom 70 to 300 for that, or 70 to 200 realistically. But once again, I think it just goes to show that you can shoot with any amount of equipment, whether it be super cheapo stuff, whether it be just your phone, or whether it be thousands of dollars, and you can still get good shots no matter where you're going. For this specific shot coming up, I saw that kind of gate from across the road and I figured, you know, that elaborate steel work would really turn out beautifully. But when I finally saw that warm lighting and plants from the background, I knew it would make a great Gaussian blur. So I immediately started setting my aperture and shutter speed first. That's usually what you're going to want to do. Set your aperture if you know you want a big blur on the background. And then after that, you can worry about your ISO. Typically, you just want to set it as low as possible with still getting detail in the blacks. Now, as you can see, I saw on this kind of second story area, I believe that's called a balcony. The second story balcony had this warm lighting. The French Quarter is known for it, and I genuinely think it just makes for great shots, and I'm very glad that I was able to catch that. I wish I would have taken something with that bus, but I didn't think about it in the moment. So, real quickly while I had the chance, I wanted to address a question you might have. During the video, in the spat out portions, you might on occasion see me take a photo, but not slow down to address it like I do all the others. That's because I probably wasn't happy with how the photo turned out, and unfortunately on this specific video, I ended up coming out with about 50 photos I was really happy with and wanted to show you. So I don't have the time to show you all my mistakes and bad products as well. In future videos with shorter trips, I might do that, but unfortunately in this occasion, I'm not at liberty to do so unless you want to watch a probably hour-long video or at least 30-minute video. So, as soon as I saw that Hotel Monteleone sign, I knew I had to get a photo of it. That dark red neon feel with the night sky, I knew it would look fantastic. Now, with big stationary far away objects, if you're not doing a cityscape or silhouette, you gotta be very careful about how to make the photo interesting. Honestly, the technical part of this and the technical side, which you really have to worry about with typical street photography, is not really present. You're really worrying about what else can you get in the frame to make the shot interesting and how you want the angle to come off. Honestly, with shots like this, I typically go for a very low angle looking high up, try to get something in the right and on the left of the frame. Honestly, if there's only one thing I could change about this photo, it is the top left sign. I wish I would have had more of it in there, but how it was positioned IRL, I just physically could not do that. I actually love taking photos of street art and graffiti. It's something I don't see a lot of other photographers do, and if you're a new photographer trying to make it big and you're looking for your niche, I honestly think that would be a great one that has a lot of room to grow and a really good spot to fill. Honestly, if you do decide to do that, anybody that's watching this, let me know. I'd love to follow you and like all your posts because it's something I'm really interested in. I think this has kind of gone understood, but I just wanted to state it explicitly. This series is going to be for photographers, no matter the skill level. If you're just starting out with a cell phone, or if you have a big camera with a couple thousand lenses or so, it's still for you. I think no matter who you are, you can always learn something from somebody else, and I've been taking photos for a couple years now. I think bordering on 6 or 7, don't quote me on that. And I feel like I've learned a bit, and I'm finally at a point where I can start helping other people maybe have a less troublesome journey than I did. So, as a street photographer, one of the things you're probably going to take photos of a lot are street performers or performers in general. And this blue lighting coming out of that window really drew my eye to this guy as a subject. Now, you can actually see me see him while taking a photo of a different person and immediately switch. I really wanted to take my time with this one, get it in perfect focus, and use those obstructions around the edges of my frame to draw your vision to the subject itself. It's something that's super easy to do, well, easy if you have the right setup to do and can make a fantastic photo like I believe this one. That you can kind of see across the way there are those super bright doors. I didn't even have to change my ISO. I want a dark photo with that subject beautifully in frame and that very complex, colorful background. Really gives you that urban feel, and honestly, I just love how it came out. Now I'm about to take one of the photos every New Orleans photographer has taken, and that is bunch of people, black skies, and neon. Neon is so beautiful in street photography. It's a photo everyone has taken, but it still continues to amaze. I'm actually including this shot because I'm not exactly happy with it. I think it goes to show that even if your shot is technically sound, you have good framing, good focus, and good color schemes, it might not always mean that it's a good photo. You really need to take more photos than is actually needed, just in case you get some strange movement or somebody's talking has a strange expression or something along that line. It's always good to have more photos than you need than to be caught in a situation where you don't have enough. One of the most frustrating experiences as a photographer is when you can see the shot. You know exactly what you need to do, how to accomplish it, but there's just a member of the public right in your way, and that's exactly what happened here. I wish I would have been able to get that framing just slightly more left, but unfortunately, there was a lady right in the way. It would have been a beautiful shot, but like I said earlier, it just goes to show maybe sometimes you need to take more photos than necessary, and I should really follow my own advice. So I guess you could say there's actually a little bit of a backstory to this next shot. I've actually taken it before, but I wasn't exactly happy with how it came out, and unfortunately, I made the same mistakes again, so I'm not exactly happy with this one. When taking a photo that really values the subject being in the center of the frame, you really need to take your time, slow down, and make sure you're looking at them dead on. You also need to really utilize the functions your camera can give you, such as the rule of thirds grid. I'll be doing a series of videos going over camera functions like the rule of thirds, zebra lines, and more simple stuff like aperture and ISO in the future, but for now, just know it's a quick trick, almost a life hack for photographers that can really tell you how a framing will go and if it'll look good in the future. And honestly, I didn't do that here. I really should have, because I actually was a little bit too far to the left when I took this photo, so everything's slightly to the right, and it ruins what could have been a beautiful shot just for a simple mistake that could have taken me about 10 seconds to rectify. So, if you know anything about me, you probably know that you can almost never find me without my trusty pair of headphones, and that's just because I love listening to music almost anywhere I go. But one of the only places you'll probably find me shooting photos without a pair of headphones on is the French Quarter. There are just so many street performers, and I kind of wanted to give you a taste of what it might sound like in this next section. So, while I'm talking through the photos, I'm going to have the background music be what it actually was on the street. I'm also going to do this in a little bit as well with a wonderful brass player. So, one of the most important things you can do, especially when dealing with live bands like this, is really try and move around. Get as many angles as you can, high to low to really whatever, and try the best you can not to get in the way. The last thing you want to do is make the performer angry with you or anybody in the crowd. It's just never a good experience. Thankfully, I haven't had to experience that myself, but I've definitely seen photographers who just don't understand that vital point. Also, if you are dealing with street performers, do try to leave a small tip, especially if they're good. Unfortunately, this night I didn't have any cash on me, but I definitely would have and have done in the past. It doesn't take much, and it's just a really simple thing to do, and it really shows goodwill between the photographer and the performer. Now, this shot right here is just one I really loved. I just loved how clear it came out, and it's just such a bright photo, something I usually don't do with my photos, and genuinely I really need to get out of that bad habit. While that one was my favorite, I genuinely loved this entire little set. I was trying to play with framing a lot and getting things right in the center and just honestly making the subject the entire photo. I genuinely try not to do that too often, especially because I don't have a good lens for it currently, but I thought this was a good opportunity to try and do it. I also tried to make it a lot brighter and make it a lot more colorful than I normally do. It's definitely a bad habit that I picked up, that I make everything so dark, but I'm trying to move away from that, especially in the future when I actually shoot in the daytime. As you can tell, it's night during this, so even though I was trying to make it bright, I could only do so much. Honestly, I really don't have a lot to say for this one. I just saw something cool and figured, you know, a macro shot might look pretty interesting with this. Honestly, when you see something cool and you don't really have a clear plan per se, just take the photo. It'll do no harm, and if it turns out well, like I think this one did, it's all for the best. So if you are unsure, just take the shot. It's always better than to hesitate and miss out on something that you can never get again. At least in photography. Don't take that advice for other things in life. For these next two, the photography gods must have been smiling down upon me because I got what every street photographer loves, a very sketchy guy with a kind of baggy hoodie. Now, I saw this guy walking along. He was actually kind of beside me, kind of hanging out around this larger group, but I wanted to wait for him to get further ahead. So, in the meantime, I figured I'd take a photo of that statue up there in the top left. It would be a okay shot. It's not something I'm exactly proud of. I wouldn't put in my portfolio, but it's definitely technically technically sound and has okay framing with interesting enough lighting that I would feel confident enough to post it on my Instagram. But when I finally got this guy to walk a little bit further down, I actually was not that happy with the shot. It's a good shot, don't get me wrong, but it could be far better. I would have loved him to be more in the center of the frame, maybe a little bit further down so I could have a little bit more centralized lighting, but as it is, I am happy with the shot. It has interesting enough lighting, you get a cool subject in the photo, and the little bit of motion that you do get makes it at least interesting to the eye. Like I said, I'm not exactly enthusiastic about it, but I am happy with it. One of the things being a photographer has really helped me out with is paying attention to the really tiny, random, small things that you encounter every day but usually don't pay attention to. This just happens to be one of them. Also, when you're taking a macro shot, especially when it's something close up, and even if you're not using a macro lens, take your time to manually focus it in. A lot of the times, autofocus just won't work for this type of stuff. If it's a flower, sometimes it will, but for stuff that's not conventional, it probably won't work that well. Now, for this next shot, I honestly don't really know what I was thinking. I saw street light and thought, oh, that looks cool, but honestly, I'm not really happy with how the framing came out. I still wanted to put it in here to show you just how much framing really matters. If that was a centralized photo, if the street lamp was right down the center and there was a little bit more to the left, I think it would have been fantastic, but as it is, I don't think it stands up on its own. Well, now I have the pleasure of presenting to you the second musical section of this video. I'm actually going to let it play for just a second without any interruption from me, unlike last time, so you can fully experience the sounds of the city. This set of photos might not be amazing, but it definitely holds a soft spot in my heart. I think the colorscape turned out really well. The contrasting orange background with the blue of the urban cityscape vibe really gives it an interesting theme. And the lighting, it's debatable whether it's good or not. Honestly, the reason it's so dark is because I didn't have it bright enough, so the face was quite blurry, so I decided to give it a more darker vibe. But I actually think that might have turned out to be good, because it almost gives this air of mystique and gives this almost silhouette dark type look. Also, I'm not exactly happy with the tilt. I think I really needed to either commit to a full tilt or not do it at all, and in all of these photos I kind of do a halfway non-committal type thing. Just either commit or don't, and I just did not decide or could not decide in the moment. Honestly, it's a pretty similar conundrum for these photos. I personally like them a lot, but objectively they're not outstanding photos in any way. I just think I had a really good subject. He had a wonderful yellow pattern on his jacket, which is quite eye-catching, just to be completely honest, and the varying lights in the background and in front of him just made for a pretty interesting composition all around. So, this next photo is actually tied for my favorite photo of the night, and you'll see why as soon as you actually get to it. But as soon as I saw that bus part with the almost cool light coming out of it, I knew I had to get a photo, and especially while I had the perfect subject standing right there. Honestly, I can't express how happy I am with how the photo turned out. Now, I actually went in an interesting direction with it in the editing booth. I decided to make it a little bit warmer than it was IRL to give it a more contrasting vibe than what you'd expect, and to really draw your eyes to the contrasting ideas in the photo. So here's actually a photo that I didn't expect to be good, but ended up being one of my favorite of the night. It's definitely not my top or even my second pick, but it's probably third or fourth of my favorites from the shoot. So basically I was sitting around at this crossing light and I was trying to figure out what I should take a photo of because I had a little bit of spare time. I thought maybe the people around me, but then it crossed my mind, why not take a photo of the crossing light? In New Orleans and probably in other big cities, but I don't really know off the top of my head, there's this really interesting grading over the lights, and honestly it provides a pretty cool pattern whenever you take a photo of them, so I figured why the hell not. let's just do it. And it turned out way better than I could have expected it to. The dark background in the sky with the buildings behind it, the perfect center that I got. Honestly, really good formatting on my part. I don't mean to toot my own horn too much, but I was really happy with how the formatting came out and how centered it was in the frame, though I did have to do a little bit of editing to make it that perfect. Combined with the lighting in general, and the whole vibe just came together to make what I think is a wonderful shot. Now, regarding these next two, I'd like to address them one by one. The first one, the guy with the bike. I think it's an okay shot. It would have been a lot better if I got his face, maybe him coming at me instead of after him going past me, but I didn't really notice him till after it was a little too late. But I think overall, it's an okay shot. It's definitely interesting and could stand as an Instagram post, but like I said, for some of these other posts, I'm not going to put it in my portfolio or really pay much mind to it. But the second one, I just think it goes to show the power of neon and what it can do to a photo. I just love how it came out. I still don't think it's going to be one I'm going to be putting in my portfolio anytime now, but I think it's definitely worth the spot as a headliner post on my Instagram. So, these next two shots actually give off very conflicting vibes, but in my head at least, they have the same theme. I actually want to do themed posts in the future, or maybe themed collections, but I just haven't had the time to sit down and do it in the past. But with these two, I definitely was thinking about it while shooting. As you can see, one is of a very open and clear kind of courtyard bar. There's nobody there. It's abandoned, and honestly, that's pretty strange. There were people there, just not in the photo, and you couldn't see them in the video either. And for the second one, which you should be able to see right about now, it's full, completely. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, let's do these shots of open bars and just make snapshots, little collections of moments of kind of looking in the doors of somewhere and kind of spying and seeing something that's just out of context but can pretty much tell a story. So, this is one of the only photos I actually think I could have gone darker with, but I ended up not doing it. So, here's some general advice. When you're taking a photo and you get it in and you edit it, before you upload it, show it to somebody else. No matter how they're related to you, as long as they're willing to look, show it to them. Because you'll get the most odd advice that ends up making you have an epiphany. And unfortunately, I didn't have this with this one. I showed this photo to multiple people, and all the people said that the photo I had was too dark. So I ended up brightening it up, but I don't know if I like it as much as I did when it was darker. I'm not going to show you both, but please, in the comment section, let me know if you like it as it is, or you agree it could be a little bit darker. Either way, I love the photo. The bright yellow dumpster and the lone street lamp and the kind of torn up construction vibe, it looks cool, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, honestly, the next two are really serious photography shots. I just thought the car was cool, and honestly, it was a cute anime sticker of Deku, so hey, I thought I'd take a picture of it. But I do think there is something to talk about with the second shot. Honestly, it's not that great. The ISO should have been a little bit lower because there's way too much grain in the photo because the ISO was too high. So if you're trying to do a shot like this, just do it in the daytime. It's a lot easier. And if you do it at night, take your time, make sure you have it right, make sure you take it at different ISO stop points. So just in case you don't have it right, you'll have it at least somewhat correct in one of them. And this next shot, it's actually the last one. I know, sorry, it's kind of abrupt, but I don't really have much to say about it either, so underwhelming as well, I guess. So let me try and make something up just to bide time, I guess. It's really a clean shot. There honestly isn't much to say because it's pretty simple. It was a interesting location with a good amount of people in it and good lighting to begin with, so there wasn't really much I had to do to prep for it. Pretty much, I just pointed and clicked. The framing is pretty center, there's no real issues with that. The lighting was good because well, it was right below a street lamp, and honestly, there's really just not much to say. So, without further ado, if you liked the video, leave a like, and if you didn't, leave a dislike, and let me know how I can improve in the comment section below. As always, if you want to see more of this type of content, please subscribe, and also, let me know if you like this style specifically, or if I should try for a little bit more shorter form, which I was considering because this got kind of lengthy and long to produce. Without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, it probably won't be a few years.